welcome back to another episode of the Cookie Talk. I am Nick Kwang, your host for today. Last episode, we heard about Sarah's personal experience of her university life in the Netherlands. We learned that Sarah experienced during her university years in the Netherlands was much different than what we see on TV and hear on the news. Today, we have Luc Anh here, who is an RGSV alumni that has graduated in the class of 2022. Luc Anh here will share with us some of his experiences and advices about going to study in the USA, which we promise will be much different to what we heard from Sarah. Hey Luc Anh, it's really nice to have you here with us today. Would you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, I'm Luc Anh. I'm currently a freshman in the States, and I'm very happy to be here today with you guys.
Okay, so before we start today, as usual, we would like to offer you some cookies. Here we prepared for you the sesame tool and the coconut biscuit. You can help yourself to one.
Thank you.
Okay, to begin this episode, can you tell the audience what do you currently major in and what school do you go to?
I currently attend Dickinson College. I'm a double major in data and econ.
That's very interesting. So I know that the USA is a really popular destination for high school and especially university for a lot of reasons. For example, good schools, good job opportunities, good tourism destinations, good food. Yet I am still curious about the reason why you chose the USA and specifically Dickinson College. Would you share the reason why with myself and the audiences?
Well, I think that the reason why I chose the USA is very personal because it fit my personality a lot. It's dynamic, it's vibrant. You know how competitive the culture is, both academically and after school. And you know how the saying goes, if you can make it in the States, you can make it anywhere. So I really want to challenge myself. That's why I picked the States. The reason why I picked Dickinson College was very lengthy, but then I'm very happy with my decision because of its strong business and econ program. It also has a very nice location, which is in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. It is located in a little college town. So we have everything we want within campus. And I also have the opportunity to explore the other cultures as the student body in Dickinson is very diverse. The support system there is also amazing, both while you are a student, but also after school, after you graduate. The alumni network helps you find opportunities in the professional career job world. So I think that this is very important to look into, especially as a student finding your college.
Well, I think that's really nice. I think many high school students, including myself, are actually quite excited to go to university and get to experience the uni life they always talk about in the movies. So how different is the high school life compared to university life for you?
Well, for me, I think that the biggest difference is that high school life is very structured. It has a set curriculum and it has a set routine. University lives offer more flexibility and independence, so students can shape their own academic journey. For example, when you were in college, when I was in high school, right, I have my timetable and I just follow it, and I just go to school, I go back home, and rinse and repeat every single week. In college, you can make your schedule. You always have your class schedule, which is set, but then by having less classes and having a less packed schedule than high school, it allows you to personalize your calendar, as in you can add more activities in the afternoon, in the evening, in the morning. So adjusting to university life involves finding a balance between your academic life and your personal life. All these activities help you find your identity, but then by being away from home, it requires building a support network of friends and actively participating in campus activities as well. The freedom in university is unparalleled. In my case, I can sleep like at any time, and I'm a very big sleeper. So I often find myself pulling all-nighters and then driving myself to class the next morning. And by the time class finishes by like 1 or 2 p.m., I'll be dropping dead back in my dorm and sleeping till like 9 p.m. So this is a very unhealthy schedule to maintain. I think that, so do not follow this, but try to find your own balance and try to like decorate your schedule so that you can find your most meaningful short years in uni.
Well, as someone who really loves watching movies, with most of the characters being in college, not just studying but also getting to parties and experience various things around them. What was your university experience similar to anything you see on the screen? And if possible, can you share with us some of the most memorable experience you've experienced in university?
Well, I've never been a big party guy. Like, I go out to parties and I go out to movies and I see like how there are big frat parties and all of these raves that go on in college. And sure, they do happen, but it also depends on where you go to college, right? So like I go to Dickinson, it's a very small liberal art college. We have parties on the weekend and we have like these things and we also see movies, but then it's not as like decorated, you know? Like you'll be having fun, you'll be drinking, you'll be doing stuff, but then you get bored, you get tired of it after the first few weeks. Like I showed up to the first few one or two parties for the first 2 3 weeks, but then afterwards I would much rather find myself in my bed on the weekend watching a movie, or like ordering something in to eat, or maybe even going out to different clubs that have going on. Like there's an astronomy club in my school that goes out to the roof of a building every Saturday weekend. So instead of going to party with the frats, going to party with the athletes and drinking myself and seeing all these people do different stuff, I'll be going with like different clubs and trying different new things. So sure, you can find yourself at parties like in the movies, or you can find different activities that aren't as highlighted by the movies as you would think, because the movies are trying to portray the most American thing that you can think of, but then in reality there are much more personal things you can do that are as enjoyable as going to parties.
Well, I understand that to be able to fully experience university life, it also comes with a lot of responsibilities and also self-control. What are some of the skill sets that you think all university students should have and why?
Well, I think that essential skills for university students, many students and many friends I see having this issue is time management. You have so much time, but then also with all the activities and everything that you're doing, it takes up a lot of time, and you will find yourself unable to adapt to like your schedule. You often find yourself overpacking it or underpacking it. So I think that finding the right balance and knowing what you're doing at what time and planning ahead of time is very important. Like, for example, when I was in high school, I was very unorganized, but I could still get by. Like I could still get everything done. But in college, with all these activities going on at the same time, you have to keep track of what is upcoming, what is due. So I find myself, if you have an iPhone, right, put the Notes widget app on your home screen, and you can just add stuff to it, and you just tick it off as soon as you're done. So you find yourself, every time you open your iPhone, you see this to-do list, and you try to tick yourself off as fast as possible so you can add new things in. So that's something that I picked up from my friends in college. And I think that another thing that might be worth looking into is taking gap year if you're not prepared yet. So that's what I did. I felt that I was not as prepared, so I took a gap year, which we will probably discuss in a bit, right?
Before we continue, do you want to try the coconut biscuit?
Yes, please.
So I've just found out that I just found out that you took a gap year, which is really interesting to me because I don't see it really common in some of the older people that I know that travels abroad to study. Well, can you share with us some of the activities that you did during your gap year, and also some of the challenges that you faced?
Well, I just want to say, taking gap year was probably the best decision I could have made, because I graduated from high school from IB, which was very tiring, in May, June, and by the time I was finished, it would be 2 months for me to get everything sorted out for me to get to college. That involves packing up, involves preparing all of these documents and paperwork, and immigration and etc. So like it's a lengthy process, but then you have to do all of this within 2 months, and then move away from your family for 4 years. So it's a big step, and I think that students really should take their time and like find themselves and find and improve upon like their independence during the gap year. So during the gap year, I picked up a lot of new skills, soft skills which include like managing my emotions. I had problem controlling myself around like several bad habits in the past, and during my gap year, I kind of fixed that with a lot of help from my parents. I also found out I got a driver's license, both for motorbike and car. So when I moved abroad, I could drive myself around, which is a big thing because it really helps you if you can drive yourself, especially in the States because it's so big and public transport sucks. Also, during my gap year, a big part was I went on a meditation retreat in Thailand. So I went there for 3-4 months. I just stayed in the meditation retreat with like 100 monks, and I'm not religious. I'm aesthetic, not aesthetic. I'm agnostic. My bad. I'm agnostic. But then I just stayed in the meditation retreat, and I enjoyed my time there. I reflect on the present. I learned a lot, not only about Buddhism, which is very interesting. I'm not Buddhist, but it's very interesting. But then I also learned a lot about people's emotions, how people react to different situations, and how to like maintain yourself, you know, because it's so easy to lose track of what you're doing, lose track of your emotions, that by going on this meditation retreat, it helps me control myself better, like the monks. So that was very, very helpful. And it might be a gap year, but then it will only be a few months, and you'll soon find yourself back in the summer, packing up and moving out. So don't be afraid to skip out on that 1 year, because most people, especially the RGSV students that are watching this right now, if you're doing IB, you get credits for a lot of your university stuff. You won't have to take entry-level courses. So taking gap year won't slow you down. You'll be so far ahead of your friends already. Like I'm so far ahead of my friends already. I can graduate in like half the time that it takes people to normally graduate. So find your hobbies, find your habits, improve yourself during your gap year if you want to, and then set up to uni, because you won't find a more pleasurable time during your gap year. There's no pressure. It's just you and yourself trying to find what you want to do, which is great.
Okay, this question is actually not in the script, but it just popped up in my head when you talked about the public transport in the U.S. I've learned that the subway is a thing, but like cabs are really expensive, and the expenses in the U.S. In general is really expensive. So do you have any tips for the readers, for the audiences to manage their finance better?
I think that would be two different questions. One would be about transport and one would be about finance. The thing about transport is that it depends a lot on where you are studying. Like if you're in downtown New York, right, you can take the subway anywhere and everywhere for very cheap. Most people I know just jump the subway in New York, so you don't have to pay. Like you just jump over the barrier and you can go anywhere you want.
Disclaimer: we do not.
We do not.
This type of.
This is illegal. You cannot do this. You get fined.
Which is personal experience.
But from personal experience, no one pays for the subway in New York. Also in DC, like if you're like in around DC, in central DC, you can just get anywhere with subway. But then if you're like slightly outside DC, like 30 minutes out even, you can't get anywhere without a car, because if you Uber anywhere, it will be very expensive. And everything is so far apart, because like even in Carlisle we have restaurants and stuff there, but then you run out of stuff to do, and you need to go to like the next town to do stuff, for example, like a farm, and that would be $100-$200 in Uber money going both ways. So like right now I'm saving up for a car so I can just drive myself next semester, because like if you study anywhere that is not downtown Fifth Avenue, New York, you will need a car. Public transport in the States is not good, but that's because it's too big, it's understandable. For finance, I think that having the financial freedom will be very exciting for most of you guys. Like my first purchase in the States was a PS5. My second purchase was a pair of JBL speakers. I blew all my money the moment I got there. But then I also went to work, because most students there went to go to work. We go to work within the university and we get paid by the hours. We get paid like $10-11, which is very good. And then also, I know many friends, we open credit cards. So personally, right now I have 2 credit cards in the States. And by using these credit cards and like spending on like different things, I'm building my own credit score. So with the financial freedom also comes financial responsibility, because it's very easy to overspend. And if you overspend right now, your credit score will go down so bad it will be bad for you in the future. Like you cannot buy a house, you cannot buy a car. It's hard to find jobs. So like spend what you can and do not spend over what you have because it will catch up with you.
Just one more question about the finance thing, because it's not just the audience, it's something I'm really worried about when I'm going to study in the US in the future. So I know that in the US there are a lot of different type of restaurants, a lot of fast food restaurants, for example, like Chipotle, like Wingstops, McDonald's, Wendy's, all that. And you can also have the choice of cooking. So have you like tried both of the options yet?
Okay, so in my case, right, in fact, no, almost every school in the US, there's so many schools in the US, right? One of the main selling points is the cafeteria. So like they have different types of cafeteria, different types of coffee places within the school that you can spend your money on. And most of these actually comes along with your meal plan. So you buy a meal plan at the beginning, your parents buy a meal plan, and you spend most of your meals in school. So that's what I do. I have 21 swipes a week, which means 3 swipes a day. We get 3 meals a day. And if I get like 2 meals a day, then I can use my laptop or swipe on coffee or something. So that's what I would do. But then school foods, even though like it's not bad and like you have a lot of options because university they really care about this stuff, right? You get a lot of options, especially to what you have right now in Vietnam. It will still get boring. And so every once or twice a week, me and my friends would order Wendy's or Chipotle, which is like the cheaper option, and Mexican option, which we like. But yeah, I feel like most students over there would be eating during on campus a lot. Eating out is very expensive. Like if you order Uber Eats alone, right, it will cost you minimum $15 to $20, and if you split it with your friends, it'll probably tend to be the same amount. Another thing to note about finance over there is that you tip. You tip everything. So like you tip 10%. You tip like on most Uber orders. If you're spending $20, you're tipping $2. If you're not tipping them, they'll get very angry at you. Like I was once in a restaurant in New York. I spent $20 on a single bowl of ramen, and it was very basic. When I left the restaurant, it was for 4 bowls, right? We spent $80 on 4 bowls of ramen, which is not bad considering the US prices. But then we didn't take into account we had to tip 10-15% as well, and we didn't tip, so we just walked out of the restaurant, and they actually called you back, and they were like, "Hey, you guys forgot to tip," and like, "Okay, yeah, my bad." And so like you guys will have to tip there. Like tipping is a culture. You don't tip, people will get very mad at you.
I know that most of our audience are living in Vietnam, which means that Chipotle is actually not an option for us to
It's
eat
not
here.
an option.
Can you give us some reviews about
Okay,
Chipotle food and prices?
Well, I know that Chipotle is not bad. Like all the Mexican options, it's not bad. Let me open an Uber Eats order right now, and I can show you what I ordered. Uber Eats. Ooh, if you're getting Uber Eats, my suggestion is that open a credit card. I have a Capital One credit card that gives you 10% cash back on everything Uber related.
Oh, really?
So if you get an Uber ride that costs $100, right? Like my ride from like downtown New York to the airport when I left to go back to Vietnam was like $110. I got $11 back in that one trip. So get yourself a credit card that really gives you back your money. So like every credit card there will give you like a lot of money back. So find a credit card that gives you 10% back on Uber, and you get stuff. So my account, right? Orders. Chipotle is very good. Chipotle is like Mexican stuff, which I like. Ooh, one thing that's very popular there because it's cheap and it's also Mexican and it's very diverse is Taco Bell.
Oh, Taco Bell.
Everyone there gets Taco Bell. You get the wrap, it's good. Their quesadilla is also good. Everything Taco Bell is very good. It fills you up quick, and it is the cheapest fast food options out of everything. Wendy's is expensive. Popeyes is very expensive, but Taco Bell is as cheap as it can get. Like it is only slightly more expensive than Loteria or KFC in Vietnam. So get Taco Bell.
Get Taco Bell, guys. Please note we're not sponsored by Taco Bell, Chipotle, or Wendy whatsoever.
Taco Bell. This is all Taco Bell orders. Taco Bell. And look at these orders. It's $10, $22, $22 again. Yeah, like all these $18, all the Taco Bell orders are like $18 around that. And I'm ordering a deluxe craving box and a meal for two. So like this would feed probably 3 people for $18 on Taco Bell.
If you can't do math, that's 6 for each, guys.
That's 6 for each, guys. For food. It doesn't get cheaper than that.
$6 is like 150K. You're not sponsored, guys.
We're not sponsored by Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Get Taco Bell, please. I promise you, it will change your life.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing, especially with my unexpected questions. So I think the perfect way to end our session today is by having Devang share with us some general advices and tips, like last advices for the first year students or any high school students that will enroll in the university in the upcoming years. Well, Devang, the stage is yours.
Well, in all seriousness though, college will be very fun, but then you also see things that like you don't want to see. Like before I left, I was aware like some people there are very racist, some people there there's segregation, like there'll be stuff like that, right? I'm fully aware of that, but then if you don't pay attention to it, right? Try not to be too hard on yourself. Like I was once going to a party with my friends, and it was like an African American group of friends and also like Mexicans, and we were going to this frat party by the lacrosse guys, and they're very white. Like lacrosse players, they're very white, and like we showed up, and I was the only Asian guy with like 4 or 5 different African American and Mexican people, and the lacrosse people were like, "Hey, we're out of space right now. Like, we can't take up anymore. You guys clearly understand." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, that makes sense, right?" But then when I came back afterwards with my roommate who is white and his girlfriend who is white, we were let in. So like it was clear what was going on. My African American friends were very butthurt about it. But then. And then, like, even against Asian people, right? There'll be some white people who are very nice, and some white people who are not very nice. Just surround yourself with the right people and try to block out the people that you don't want to, because in most cases, right, as long as you don't provoke them, they'll just leave you alone. So, yeah, just be aware that there's stuff like this outside, so you don't get too shocked about it, but it will happen. It's life. That's it.
Well, guys, as you have heard, university life really is a roller coaster, and I think that the next few years or few months will be really hard for the people that are enrolling in college. So we would, myself and Dick, would like to wish you the best of lucks for your upcoming application deadlines. And please, before we end, note that everything shared in here is coming from personal experiences and should not apply for everyone. This was the Cookie Talk. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys.